Hi, this is Nir from Novisign, and today I'm going to show you how to use your online studio. Now, the online studio is a kind of website which allows you to upload your content, edit your content, and send it to all your players in the venue, such as Android players, Windows players, and Chrome OS players. So, first you have to surf to this address, app.novisign.com. Then you have to type your username. Now your username is usually in a format of an email address. So let's do it. And the password. And then I just log in. Now, while I'm inside, I can also choose my language. It can be English, can be anything else like German, like Chinese, like Japanese, and so on. Let's stay with English. So, inside the online studio I have 4 tabs. I have the Creative tab, I have the Playlist tab, the Players tab, and the Groups tab. Let's start with the first one, with the Creative. Now, what does it mean, creative? Creatives are the building blocks of every playlist. And now you ask yourself, what is a playlist? Well, a playlist is actually like in the radio, which you have a song after a song after a song. Now in this case, it's a creative after creative after creative. So practically, the creatives are the building blocks here. Now, you have 3 types of creatives. You have 2 types of simple creatives, which can be either a video creative or image creative, and you also have the more complex one, which is called blended creative, or sometimes we even call it a slide. So next question would be how to create creatives. So first thing, let's do this. Let's press the Add button. Now pressing the Add button brings me to my library. This is the library of my media items, where I have all my videos and images which I can upload from my PC. So at the moment it's empty, there's no media to show, but let's upload a couple of things. So this is from my desktop. I'm going to upload a couple of images like that, and this one. Now I was going to upload all those images into my library. I can press close and I can find them here. Now let's upload maybe a video or 2. Let's upload this one and maybe this one. Now usually for Windows player and for Android player and also for Chrome OS player you have to use the MP4 video format, while if you use the old Air player, which is based on Adobe Air, you'll have to use the FLV flash format. Now for images you have to use either JPG or JPEG or PNG or GIF. These are the supported formats for images. So it's almost done. After uploading those 2 videos, you can see that thumbnails are being created. This is what you see here in the left. And that's about it. Now, it's ready. I've just uploaded 2 videos. I can close it. And if I look here, I see that I have a couple of media items. I can filter and see that all the images, or I can also filter by video and see all my videos, which are only 2. Now, if I click any of them, I can see the properties of that video. I can even see a preview. I see the dimensions, the size, the duration, and the same goes if I do with an image. I'll click this one, I can see the dimensions, the size, the name. You can also change the name here. It's also possible. And if I would like to delete items from my library, I can also do it here. That means I can stand here. I can put the cursor on any of them, highlight it, and then press the delete button. Now it's going to ask me if I'd like to delete a file permanently, and I can press delete or cancel. In this case, I'm going to cancel. So now if I press cancel, nothing happens here in the Creative tab. But I'll click again the Add button, and it will take me back to my media library. And inside my media library, I can see all my media items. That means videos and images. So now I would like to do this. I would like to create a couple of simple creatives. I'm going to choose this video, the first one, and also this and this, and also let's pick this image. 3 images and 1 video are now highlighted, and I'm going to press the OK. Now, selecting them and pressing OK does the following thing. It makes them, actually turns them into simple creatives. So now, like originally I had those 4 image creatives, simple image creatives, which I can access each one of them and update it. There's nothing much to update, maybe except the name or the default duration. The same I can do here with these. I can access this image. I can see the image. Also, I see the properties of it. I can change the duration, also change the name if I like, and press the update. Now, the duration is actually a default duration which will be used as default duration in the playlist later. Same goes with a video. I can click that video, see the size, dimensions, the creation date, even a preview. So what have I done till now? Actually, I uploaded a couple of files. That means video files and image files from my desktop into my media library inside my Novisign account. And also some of them I turned into simple creatives, such as this video creative and these image creatives. I can also see that there's a difference here. If I look at this little icon left to the name of the creative, I can see that this one has, this looks like a video, while the other ones, like this or that, they look differently because they're supposed to represent image simple creative. Now, next thing is going to be showing you how to create a blended creative. Now, this is the cool stuff here. I'm going to press the Compose button, and while I'm inside the Compose button, I can also give it a name. Let's call it My Blended Creative. Now, here I have a bunch of templates, but before I choose a template, I need to choose the ratio of the screen, which can be 16:9, 4:3, 16:10, or even maybe a portrait mode. That means 9:16, 3:4, 10:16. So let's stay with the first one with 16:09. This is the most common one. And here I can see a lot of creatives. Each one represent a different theme. But if I choose something else like this one, there are other templates. Let's stick with the first one, and I'm going to choose the blank template with nothing in. You can also type here a description if I like, and let's press the Create button. Now this brings me to the Creative Composer. The Creative Composer, it's a kind of editor which allows you to create a blended creative. Now in the left you see a group, actually a list of available widgets which can be dragged to the center. In the center you have this, what we call a canvas. This thing represents the actual screen. And in the right side you have the properties frame, which represents the properties of the selected element inside the canvas. Currently it shows you the properties of the creative itself. You can see the name, you can see the fill. Now what does it mean fill? It means the background. I can choose something else, like maybe this kind of yellow. Also, I have a suggested duration if I like to change the default duration for this creative. And also I can change the aspect ratio to something else, which can be custom aspect ratio. So let's build a blended creative using the widgets in the left. So what can I do? I can drag, for example, a label widget just right here. I can type any text I like this is a label widget. I can also change the format of this widget. For example, like let's make the text red, and I can change the background to be yellow like this if I like. Make it bold, reshape, and replace it. Now let's drag a clock widget, and let's change the format of this clock to this, for example. And let's drag here the weather widget, just like that. You can change the location like Los Angeles. In California. And I can add other widgets such as the RSS widget, like this. This one is the CNN. I can change its properties, for example, to go from left to right. I can also change the left and top to be like this. Left is gonna be 0 and the top will be 80 and the width is going to be 100%, just like that, to take the full width of the canvas. I have other widgets here, like for example the image widget, and once I do this, once I drag the image widget to the canvas, it brings me directly into my media library where I can choose all the available images. So let's for example pick this one. Let's change the size like that. I can also drag the video widget like that. Let's pick this video and put it just right here. Now let's press the save button. I have other widgets here which I can drag and use. Also have this one which is called slideshow widget. Now if I put here the slideshow widget, I can drag any other widget into this slideshow widget to have it just like that. For example, I'll drag an image just like that. Let's choose this one. Now instead of dragging, I can also do this. I can just click on any of these icons. For example, to add another image, I can click this rather than dragging the image widget. So let's choose this one. Now I have another slide. See, I have two slides inside this slideshow widget. Each one has a duration of 10 seconds, which can be changed to anything else. Can also add either a video slide or a text slide using those buttons, or actually almost anything which can be dragged from the left side where I have the widget list inside. Let's drag maybe a video just like this. Let's pick the first one this time. and I have it here. Now let's press the save again. Now one thing which I can do is to press the preview to see how this blended creative is going to look like. So this is how it's going to look like. Take some time to download all the media items, and once I press this X button, it stops the preview mode and brings me back into the Creative Composer. Now pay attention, except the save and preview buttons, I also have the My Library, which brings me again to my media library, where I can upload new content, delete existing one, and so on. Now this button here can make the Creative Composer a little bit bigger or bring it back to its original size. Now here in this link, which I click, can be less or more. That means to expose the whole list of widgets in the left side. Now I have this blended creative. If I click just right here, it can show me again the properties of the creative itself, like the name and other properties. If I press the close editor, now I can see that I have a new creative, a blended creative, this one. Now if you look, the little icon in the top, in the bottom left corner, looks a little bit different than this one of the video creative or this one of the image creative. So now I have a bunch of creatives which I'm going to use in my first playlist. Now, but before I do that, I'd like to talk about other buttons which I see here. I can stand, that means highlight any of the existing creatives, then press the delete button. It will give me a question, a confirmation. I can press the yes, and so long with this creative. I must say that if I delete an existing creative which actually takes part in an existing playlist, that creative will not appear in that playlist anymore. Now, if I'd like, I can highlight any of the creatives, then press the edit, and it will bring me back, in a case of a blended creative, into the Creative Composer. Now, if I go to a simple creative like this image creative, I can click the edit or just double click the creative itself. It's the same like clicking edit, and it will take me to this kind of editor that in this case of a simple creative I can only change the default duration or its name. And if I would like, I can also duplicate a creative. It's very useful in case of blended creatives, which I like to use as such kind of template every time to change a small thing. So I can do that. Let's, for example, click on this one. Now I have it twice. Here it's called brainstorming JPG, while here it's called brainstorming JPG-copy. And of course the last thing, I can choose a couple of creatives like this one, and this one, and click the add to new playlist. Now that means it's going to take me to the playlists tab and put all those creatives one after the other. Now I can do another thing. I can just, instead of doing actually pressing that button, I can just click the playlist tab and do it all from scratch. Now here I already have a default existing playlist. I can delete that. Let's delete that. We don't need that anymore. And I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to press the add playlist. I'm going to give it a name. Let's call it My Cool Playlist. And now I'm going to add a couple of creatives. So let's choose, for example, this one, this simple image creative. Let's choose also this blended creative. Watch, I can also filter here by images, movies, actually videos, or blended creatives, which are also called slides. Now let's pick a video. Let's take this one. I can click here, this X, to have this canvas a little bit bigger. And once I press the create, I have a new playlist. So inside this playlist I can do many things. I can change the duration of the slides, like this one. I'll change it from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. And let's say in case of this one, I can also drag it. I can drag it over here to be the last one. And if I click this little daytime picker icon, I can actually schedule the creative either to play between a date range or to play between time range, or if I'd like to play on certain days, for example, play between Monday and Friday, or play in the weekend, and so on. Very flexible. So this is a playlist. I can add another playlist by pressing the Add Playlist and do the same, give it a name, drag some creatives, and have more than one playlist. I can also duplicate a playlist or edit a playlist, and finally, if I don't need it anymore, just to delete a playlist or keep it. Now, another thing which is important to see and know is inside the creative. Now, I have a bunch of available creatives which I've just created, but I can also create a folder tree. If I just right click here in between the creatives, I have a pop-up menu which allows me to do a couple of things. One of them is create a new folder. So in this case, I've just created a new folder, which I'm going to change its name to my first folder. Update. And this is my first folder. I can drag a couple of creatives inside, like I can drag this one here. Can access it. I can also create subfolder inside a folder. I can see the folder tree, actually folder path, just here above those two buttons. I can, if I like, I can drag it back to the root folder. And that's about it. Once you have a playlist full of creatives, you can already send it to your players. Now, how do you do that? You have to click the Players tab, this one. Now here I already have a default player. I don't really need that, so I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to press the Add Player. Now this kind of player actually should represent a real physical player out there in the venue. I'm going to call it this one. Let's call it cafeteria front. Okay, let's say that I have a cafeteria, and this one is a player that's supposed to be in the front. Maybe in the reception, maybe in the entrance. Now I'm going to add a playlist. Okay, actually I have only one playlist, which is called my cool playlist. I'm going to drag it from this strip to this rectangle. Okay, I can click it like that, and then I press create. Okay, so I have my first player, cafeteria front. Let's create another one. This one is going to be cafeteria back. Maybe it is going to be in the back of my cafeteria. I'm going to press Add Playlist. Put this one here. Okay, I can actually choose another playlist. I don't have to choose the same one. It's up to me. I'm going to press the Create button. And there I have two players. Each one represents a different physical player out there. And it has a selected playlist. Now, what else can I do here? I can check it and then press the edit if I like to enter this in edit mode. I can also delete it or add this player or a couple of players into a group, which I'm going to explain later. So let's enter this in edit. By the way, before I enter this in edit mode, there's a player link here. Now the player link, it's actually a link which if I click it, and let's do that. Alright. Let's click it again. It's going to open a tab in my browser. Okay, and the best browser to use with Novisign is the Chrome browser, or either with Firefox browser. So here I get this link and this button. Let's roll. I press it, and now it's going to show me the playlist on my browser. So if you remember, this was the first slide with 15 seconds, and just right after it's supposed to come the blended slide. Okay, that's about it. Now, if I enter this player in edit mode, that means it's checked. I'm going to press the edit, and now while I'm inside, and remember, I can add more than one playlist, and I can also schedule each playlist to run in a certain time, like I can do the same with a creative, which is inside a playlist. Alright? This is another way for scheduling. Now, two things which are important here are the player key link and the player key, which is also called screen key. Now, the player key or screen key is what you need to put in the physical player, which you put in the venue. This is like the ID of the player that tells him that that player is actually corresponds to the cafeteria front. So you can copy this key, paste it inside in an email, and send that email to the player and copy that from there. Or you can just copy that link. This is the same link which you've just seen as a player link, this one. Alright, so you can also do this. And this way you actually tell the physical player that it is cafeteria front in this specific example. So the last thing which I'd like to tell you about is the groups. This is the last and the fourth tab. If I click the groups, actually at the moment I have nothing, but I can create a group. Let's call this group, for example, LA University. Alright? And this group, I'm going to add a couple of players. I'm going to add the cafeteria front by clicking the plus, and adding the cafeteria back by clicking that plus. Now I need to choose a selected playlist for this group. I'm going to choose this one. And what have I created so far? I've created a new group which is called LA University, which has 2 players and has a content to play. The content is the My Cool playlist. Once I push the create button, I get this new group which is called LA University. It has 2 players, and the chosen playlist to run is called My Cool playlist. Now if I go back to players, I can see that those 2, cafeteria back and cafeteria front, are now they do not have a chosen playlist, but rather than that they're in a group, and the name of that group is LA University. That means they're supposed to show the content of the group. So why do we need a group? We need a group for some cases where we have a lot of players which are supposed most of the time to play the same content. That means if I have in LA University, I have, let's say, 10 or 20 players. Let's say that most of the time they're supposed to play the same content, so they will play the My Cool playlist. But let's say that on a certain day I would like the cafeteria front to play something else. So in that case I can remove it from this group. I can do it either from here by clicking the minus, or I can go to cafeteria front in edit mode and then remove the player from group, just like that, and assign it a different playlist by dragging it over here. In this case it's the same playlist which I have, as I don't have other playlists, but this is how it's being done. So basically this is it. Once I get into the groups page, I can either edit or delete a group, and that's about it. Again, this is Nir. Thank you for being with us, and please come again to watch our other tutorials.